I believe we are live. What's going on, everybody? Back with another watch list, this time for Wednesday, June 18th. Let me check here quick. I don't know if Thursday's a day off or a half. I think Thursday's a day off and then Friday's a half day. Let me look. Just gotta check here. We are in June. Thursday, June 19th is a holiday. Okay, and then Friday is still open as normal, it looks like. Okay, so it's just Thursday's the day off. Friday's day as normal, but I assume it'll be fairly muted action. Once you get Thursday off, take another day, and then that gives you a 4-day weekend. So I'm sure a lot of people will just end up taking that off. But just to note that not tomorrow, but the next day is a holiday. Let me close this. I can see okay here. So some trades on my front, 2 trades. OP, we got the first red day pullback. It was opening red. Gap down. I had shorted here right off the open using red to green as a guide. Was close enough to this little consolidation level, 230-ish. And we got some instant resolution on that idea. So I just covered the straight down move and ended up being a really nice cover. It went a lot higher. Could be turning into a liquidity trap. You've got a bunch of these war sympathy names, like HUSA and Indo. They're breaking out over their recent highs. You had what is it? RBNE. There it is. We're gonna get there. This one here had a big rally on it. What else? USEG, that one bounced back. TMDE, this one here, I had a trade for a first red day as well. And this one's starting to set up as a liquidity trap. So there's definitely an underlying bid here across the sector. As expected, typically sector moves last a bit longer than you think. They hang around. As far as my trade, excuse me, my trade this morning, we had 1 day, 2 days, hasn't shown like the opening range is the meat of the move, and then it closes somewhere near its open, so it goes sideways for the rest of the day is basically how this one trades. So I had started some. We got a pop there, 8 a.m. in pre-market. I started shorting lower highs. Wanted to be all done by open. We got a pop and fail off of open, so I leaned into it on an opening range breakdown. Let it push and roll over, start to scale. Now that it's red, and we got these multiple bottoms that just couldn't roll over. I wanted to see like a 160s, 170s back into priority support, and it just wouldn't get there. So I didn't want to turn a winner into a loser. So covered it, took the small green, and moved on. Excuse me. Bit of a flush there into close, but this one here also setting up for somewhat of a liquidity trap here through those 250-ish level. You can see it's topped out there a few times. Will be sector dependent, but so far looks very strong. CoreWeave, I was not on desk late enough in the day to catch that 166 or high day break. I just wasn't around. But this high day break here through 165 or even the breakout level through 166. Proper risk here versus 157-ish or low a day or anything like that. So risk reward not as great, but if I can get similar idea to that Oklo, if you recall over here, where you get this big breakout day straight up, not a ton of opportunity to get long there. But then you get that little weak open and then trend throughout the day. Um, so that's what I'd be looking for on something like CoreWeave. If this wants to pull back versus prior support into those mid 160s, I'd look to get long on some sort of weak open. Hello, been away for vacation in Canada with my wife last couple of weeks. She's Canadian. Oh, very cool. Whereabouts in Canada? Something like Banff or something? Or Niagara, maybe if you're on the East Coast. Um, but yeah, so weak opens here. I'd like to see it hold the breakout level, but that's a nice big flag forming here. And nice big daily flag forming here, and looks like it wants to continue higher. Everybody's got a long bias on this thing in all the chat rooms that I'm in. Um, so I don't love that when sentiment is all bulled up. Everyone's looking for that 200 magnet. But the setup is there, so we will see. Nate identified that 175 seller there today. um, so if this starts to build 170, 175, I think 200 probably gets there. But I'd look selfishly for a weak open. I think odds are that it just gaps up and follows through. That's what it likes to do on its breakouts. Breakout here, gap to gap. Breakout here, gap to gap. So odds are I think that it gaps, but selfishly I'd like some flushes to get long there. We'll see what HUSA's up to tomorrow. This one looks like it's leading Indo. So if this one continues to hold these mid-19s and continue to push, and this breakout starts to extend like it did over here, Indo probably a fairly likely sympathy I could take there. If you zoom out, you can see it's topped here multiple times. Has a big history back in 2022, originally when we had those war headlines. Look at an intraday, it's topped out a little bit over this daily level, 570s, but it's topped out here around 6-ish. So definitely worth keeping on watch with the rest of the sector. They're not always super straightforward sector moves, but big picture wise, an underlying bid until the tide shifts. Been to Kelowna, just visiting family. We'll be back there for Christmas and travel around the country. Very nice. A lot of people are moving to Kelowna from the West Coast. Got like a lot of Vancouverites are moving up to Kelowna just because the cost of living is a lot cheaper. But yeah, it's becoming a lot more of a densely populated area. So it's turning pretty nice up there. Lots of lakes and waterfront properties. It's nice. Backside bounces are working really well today. Indo, Husa, when the setup works this well, expected to work again or take a rest. In terms of backside bounces for me, I don't play them on 1 red days. I like at least 1.5 red days. Something like OP, for example, this was half a red day because it closed below its open. And then when it gapped down and was flushing, that was its first red day. But now that it's come back, I'd be looking at it more as a breakout. Husa, 1 red day. Indo, 1 red day. What was the other one? Our Rainbow or whatever it is. This one here had an offering, so that was immediate no-go for me. Right over here. Excuse me. So there was a bunch of them that worked. I think it's due to the sector and that underlying bid that I was mentioning. But in terms of the first green day criteria and those backside bounces, they're not the way that they set up. I was just not interested in playing them. They were not ideal in my opinion. So yes, they worked, but I didn't play any of them because they didn't fit any of my criteria. But yeah, they are cyclical. I find long patterns in general are fairly cyclical in nature in terms of breakouts. Once they start working one after another, people start to look for them. and they kind of self-fulfill prophecy type idea. And I think first green day's backside bounce is another long setup that I think kind of fulfills itself. Once they start working, people start looking for those daily charts, and then they work for a little while until they don't anymore. So if something sets up more ideal, then yeah, I would probably be a bit more aggressive on them. Um, so I think you're on the right track there. But those names you mentioned there, like with the sector, I get it if I'm looking to buy dips in a bigger picture trend. But in terms of the first green day idea, it's just not for me. OST continues higher. OP could be liquidity trap. TMDE could be liquidity trap. SRM could be liquidity trap. Sideways day. I compared that one to kind of an NVTS idea. I think this one had the Treasury news, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Let me look. Yeah, Tron Treasury, that's what it was. So that one could be liquidity trap, little T+1. Caramel was another first red day. Didn't really pull in much. It ran from 130 to 350-ish. Yeah, similar to SBET. Yeah, very similar setup. Right over here. You just kind of get that muted day. So this could be something where like maybe get an opening range break and people would consider that a backside bounce, but I don't really categorize it as a backside bounce. I'm looking at it more as like a liquidity trap T+1 for like some buy-ins. If it gets going as much as SBET, that's just like a cherry on top. I'm not expecting something like this. It's more of just like a bang bang play, maybe a push through 10 or something like that. Yeah, Caramel could be like a backside bounce, but fades another day. Maybe holds up. Maybe get a breakout through 350s down the road. Not a ton of overhead here, but nice multi-day runner. Has proven it can run for multiple days, so I will keep it on watch, but no immediate plan there tomorrow. UAVS pulled in a bit further than I would have liked, but as long as it didn't break out today, that's all right. Set some price alerts there for 160. EYEN, this thing was nuts. Straight off of its breakout level, faded for multiple days, similar to Livewire. Pull right to the breakout, and if this were to like break from 5 to 9 tomorrow, like that's literally what EYEN did. Pull, no volume all the way to the breakout level, and then goes 3 to 8. Like it's just insane. This one here, I think, had a Treasury PR here late day as well. I can't believe how hot that news catalyst is. Still, it hasn't run its course. I can't believe it. Everyone's still chasing it. It's insane. But that 580 level is that daily breakout. So as long as it's over that, it probably continues higher. Don't love the straight up action, but with that Treasury news, maybe dips start to hold as long as it's 580s plus. It broke out during regular hours, so the daily chart looks clean. So we'll see where it's gapping. RGC, I hate that I have it on watch, but it looks kind of like a perpetual squeezer here, where once it splits, it is short prohibited on my end, I believe. So I'm not really sure how many shorts there are left to squeeze. Once the music stops, yikes. But this is also looking like a T+1 kind of idea. Pushes big parabolic, consolidates in the upper end of its range if it starts to break through 80. But the way that it digested this parabolic move is pretty impressive. How would I enter SRM? Usually I'm trying to risk like low a day, so it would be like ideally at least 5 to 10 minutes of consolidation off the open and look for some sort of opening range highs trigger and risk versus lows for an ideal risk reward entry. So if this could flush to like 7, so maybe so I could paint a picture. If this were to open 760, pull to 7, pop, maybe set a lower high to 730, double bottom off a 7, and then it starts to break that 730 lower high. There's a starter, starts to build through the opening range, 760. There's an add full size versus lows, and then just set a stop and look to be patient. So look for some sort of range to be set, an ideal risk reward off an opening range. What's up, Jeff? How's it going? So with all this demand in the markets, like crisis brings opportunity. So the with all of the attention into these oil and gas and energy names, anything war related, is bringing in attention. So stuff just isn't fading as easily right now. Everyone's a buyer. So I think that's why stuff is setting up more for a long idea. So if HUSA continues, I'd look to play Indo as a sympathy. It's not as extended through its breakout level. OP and TMDE were some short ideas that now possibly have shorts in a bind. So we'll see if those set up for a little T+1. SRM with the Treasury news, similar to EYEN, would treat those as a basket. And then CoreWeave, that one there, weak opens, red to green. So tons of long ideas, but I don't think I have any short ideas. Nothing really on a short watch. What's the minimum volume I would trade? Traded HUSA, but didn't have a lot of volume before the juicy move. Yeah, I don't typically, like, other than backside bounces where I like at least $8 million traded on the prior day, is really my only dollar volume requirement. In terms of tradable volume, I need to see the liquidity, what it's looking like on the tape. So something like HUSA, I know has a fairly wide spread. They just did a reverse split over here. So it's like, what's its float here? HUSA 1.3 million float. So that's going to trade really thin. I'm typically not trying to trade stuff that's got like a less than 5 million float, I want to say. I prefer thicker names. I just don't like getting caught in those flash snaps. So I think this one would have had enough volume, but liquidity might be a bit of an issue, which is a slight differentiator. It's kind of how tight the spread is, what's the ease of entry and exit, how whippy it is back and forth. And the spread, I know, is a bit wide on this. It moves fairly quickly. So if you're on the right side, it's nice. But for trying to cut a loss, that thinness is not so nice. So something like HUSA, that's why I would use it as like a guide, and then trade something like Indo. It just trades a lot thicker and doesn't have those flash snaps. Like you can see the spread candle to candle. So I think you can get the same move. Like, so HUSA moved 100% today. Indo moved 40% today. And you're getting the same trade, but this one's got a lot tighter risk reward and trades thicker. Less risk, same kind of reward. And you can use more size there. So that's kind of how, and like when I'm trading, same thing on that first red day even. Like on I did a review here for the first red day. I was looking at it yesterday. And HUSA, right off the open, boom, straight down, boom, straight down, boom, straight down. Goes from 14 down to 9 in like 3 candles. And Indo, you get a push, a pull, some consolidation, some failed follow through setup. I can lean on 470s, risking 490s. I can get 20 cents a risk with an opening range structure, an actual intraday setup aligning with the daily, and then take advantage of this buck a share fade on 20-cent risk. So you get a 5-to-1 trade. On something like HUSA, I don't know how to enter this thing. Market opens, see you later. So I think that explains it fairly well, and why I would prefer that one over some others. Same with OP, trades fairly thick, not super worried about getting caught in any swipey action. Now that I've traded it for a couple days, I kind of got a feel of how it acts at certain levels. That's why I'm keeping it on watch. It did push through the breakout level there in after hours. 317. Right there, that high. Did pop through there a little. But shorts are definitely in a bind there. If this continues to hold and hold and hold and builds 3+. Same thing with TMDE. You get that opening range sets up, and that's the range for the rest of the day. And if shorts are expecting that, and then it starts to build and break through 250s, could get going. Fairly active in the chat, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction and back and forth. Decent viewer count, too. I don't know if we got more subs or what. Maybe it's just the time a little bit earlier today. Not sure. I appreciate it. So yeah, as far as watches tomorrow, I think RGC could be a watch. It's definitely not A grade by any means. It seems super risky, kind of like a know what you own scenario. UIEN, that thing's insane. UIEN and SRS, that treasury basket, see if those ones start to break out. TMDE and OP, sort of the laggards in that war basket. HUSA as a leader for Indo, see if those breakouts continue. Core Wave, week opens for red to green. All my plans and watches for tomorrow. So, you bet, you guys. No problem, no problem. Do you think I can go live tomorrow during pre-market? Love to hear your thought process. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Sometimes I'm on the Investors Underground broadcast in the morning. So we'll see. They usually do that like 8:45 to 9 a.m. So no promises, but if you set like post notifications or whatever, you can get notified if I do. But no promises. We'll see. I know it helps seeing where stuff gaps. You can make plans right now and stuff could gap the opposite direction. You got nothing, so I get it. Alrighty, guys. Take it easy. You bet, guys. Not a problem. Not a problem. Appreciate the appreciation. Trading well. Don't forget, Thursday is a day off. Market closed. So I will see some of you in the Investors Underground chat room. Have a good evening. Trade them well tomorrow. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.